Welcome everybody, this is Sheri Traxler with Vireo Life, author of Go Forward, 28 Days to Eat, Move, and Enjoy Life God's Way. If you have someone in your house who does not like vegetables, this recipe today is great for them. Also, if you like to cook once and have it make up for three completely different meals, today's recipe is for you. Or if you're like me and you just got a new immersion blender for Christmas and you want an excuse to use it, this is a great video for you. Also, if you have not already subscribed to my email community, please do, because there are so many extra gifts and recipes and goodies that are sent out to my email group that I want you to make sure that you're a part of that. And in the link below, it'll tell you how to get on there. So let's get started with today's recipe using cauliflower. First thing, let's talk through immersion blender. I years ago had purchased this plastic immersion blender because I wanted to just make smoothies at work. I was working in an office setting and wanted to be able to make protein shakes and stuff there. And so it was great for that in theory, but it never really blended that well. I don't know if the blades just weren't big enough or sharp enough, but I mean, making a protein shake with an immersion blender shouldn't have been that hard. So I never was really sold on them. I just was like, well, whatever. Well, I love pureed soups, but I also didn't want to make this soup in a stock pot and then let it cool enough, transfer it to a glass blender because I didn't want plastic, which that was the other concern with this, putting plastic in a hot boiling pot of soup, and then pouring that blended pureed soup back into the stock pot and letting it reheat. That was just way too much trouble. And then I thought about getting one of the processor, I wouldn't say processor, one of those high-speed blenders that you can make soup in the blender. Well, my problem with that is none of those, for safety reasons, I did research it, for safety reasons, they don't make them with glass. They only do them with plastic. Even though they're food grade, I still like, well, I don't know. So I started looking at immersion blenders and reached out to my Facebook community, and they all said, yeah, immersion blenders, they're great, and go with KitchenAid or all-clad. So I was doing the research, and like all-clad, that was what I went with, and it has worked amazing. I have loved playing with it, and this has so far been one of my, well, it has been my favorite recipes so far, and my husband loves it and wants it consistently. And so I've had to come up with new ways to use this recipe so it's not just pureed soup. And that's what we're going to talk through. So I'm going to move these out of the way and then go through the ingredient list. Fresh or frozen 5 to 6 pounds of cauliflower. This is critical for a powerful plate, and I'll link a video below where I talk about a powerful plate. You want half of your plate to be vegetable. Well, if somebody in your house doesn't like vegetables, what are you going to do? You're going to hide them, casseroles or pureed soups, but specifically this one, because once you see all the ingredients, you know you really aren't going to be able to taste the cauliflower. Next is cilantro. This freshens up all of the rich spices that I'm going to show you in a minute. Cilantro, you can do Vietnamese cilantro or just this regular cilantro that you get in the store. The Vietnamese cilantro is a herb that you can grow during the summer. It will take the heat, so I'll link below a video where it talks about some Vietnamese cilantro and growing some herbs like that. But you want to use about a cup chopped of cilantro, either kind, and then we start getting to the hotter stuff where that cilantro is going to balance this. So we've got 2 to 3 teaspoons of red pepper. You have a teaspoon of fennel. We have 2 teaspoons of cumin. You can always do more than that because it adds such a richness. And then coriander, about a teaspoon. All these, these are the basics that I use, but you can always up it or tone it down depending on how spicy and rich that you like something. Zest of lime. This also has some cilantro left in it from the last time. I didn't want to waste it because zesting it and chopping it takes some time, but about a whole lime, or if you don't want to use lime, you can use lemon, a zest for that. 2 teaspoons of olive oil, some salt, and then this adds such a richness as well as a little sweetness. I use a cup of nuts. I use macadamia nuts and pecans because they have that sweetness, but you can use any nut that you want to. You can use almonds, walnuts, whatever you want. But I like the sweetness of this to balance out the heat and the freshness of the heat of the spices and the freshness of the cilantro. Then the final ingredient, 6 to 8 cups of vegetable stock or chicken stock. I've got bone broth, chicken bone broth that's going in the crock pot right now. And it's been going for about 72 hours, so I'm going to strain that, put that in the stock pot with all these ingredients, and let them cook down for 1 to 3 hours, and then use my immersion blender, and I will show you what it looks like at the end. Yum! I look forward to seeing how you want to use this. The 3 ways that I use this recipe is 1, as the pureed soup. Do it that way one night. And then, because it has a little bit of a consistency like an Alfredo sauce, I would like to take Parmesan cheese and Asiago cheese, melt that into it, and use it as a pasta sauce. The other is to take, you've got a little bit of it left, and baking chicken and using that little bit left that's got all that cheese in it as a sauce on top of baked chicken. 3 different nights, 3 completely different meals, and you've got the same recipe though that you've only had to cook 1 time. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe so you can be the first to receive these videos. And if you are not on the email list, please join the email community because there are lots of extra bonuses and recipes and tips that come to you that way. Thanks so much, and we will see you next time.